Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're really digging into a book that made quite a splash, Jen Sincero's You Are a Badass. The one subtitle, How to Stop Doubting Your Greatness and Start Living an Awesome Life. Our mission really is to pull out the core ideas from her very direct, often funny, definitely motivating approach. We want to help you understand practically how to maybe shed some of that self-doubt and, well, step into a life you actually want.
Yeah, and what's so striking right from the start, I think, is how she hammers home this idea of a fundamental shift in mindset. It's not just, wishing things were different. So many of us do that. It's about moving to this deep, almost unshakable commitment to making change happen, that distinction. That's where she says the real power lies.
That's a great place to start. So let's unpack that core idea. Sincero really stresses this difference between wanting to change and truly deciding to change.
Oh, she has such a vivid way of putting it. Wanting, she says, can be done sitting on the couch with a bong in your hand and a travel magazine in your lap. Right, but deciding, that means, in her words, jumping in all the way and going after your dreams with the tenacity of a dateless cheerleader a week before prom night. It's all about the action, the commitment, not just the passive wish.
And it's really interesting there because she argues making this decision isn't just like a mental flip of a switch. It's active. It means pushing past fears, being okay with failing sometimes, actually learning from it, doing stuff that makes you uncomfortable, letting go of those old beliefs holding you back. She literally says your life does depend on it, which, wow, that really raises the stakes.
It does, and it makes you ask, okay, how does that level of commitment actually look in the real world? She brings up the Henry Ford V8 engine example, which is pretty powerful. His engineers kept saying, it's impossible, showing him failures again and again. But Ford, his decision was made. He just insisted it can be done and it will be done. And, well, eventually it was. The lesson there isn't just about being stubborn. It's about seeing things through. She says, the only failure is quitting. Everything else is just gathering information.
I like that framing. Failure is information gathering.
Okay. It reframes setbacks entirely, doesn't it? They're just data points, not the end of the road.
Right. So if making that decision is key, what gets in the way? Why is it so hard? Sincero points to something fascinating, how we got this way. Our subconscious minds.
Yeah, she basically argues that our subconscious holds the blueprint for our lives.
Yeah.
It's running the show, often based on, unfiltered stuff we picked up as kids, and that forms our core beliefs. But here's the kicker. She says many of those beliefs have absolutely nothing to do with who you really are today.
She tells this funny story, actually, about a bowling accident.
Oh, yeah.
To show how these unconscious patterns, these habits we don't even think about, can lead to some pretty unexpected, sometimes painful outcomes.
Exactly. And connecting that to the bigger picture, she suggests that whenever you're thinking, WTF is my problem, the answer, it often traces back to some lame, limiting, and false subconscious belief you've been carrying around without even realizing it. It creates this weird internal conflict. She calls it like driving with one foot on the gas and one foot on the brake.
Just going nowhere, or maybe in circles.
Pretty much. Makes progress really, really hard.
And to explain this internal battle, she introduces this concept of the big snooze, or BS. For sure.
Right, the BS, which is essentially the ego, that part of you that's committed to keeping you safely confined in the reality, the one built on those limiting beliefs. It's always focused on the past or worrying about the future. Keeps you feeling separate and small.
And the contrast to that
is your true self, or she calls it your superhero self. This part operates from a connection to what she calls source energy. You could think of it as your highest potential, maybe. This self, it gets validation from inside. It's proactive. It's love-based, lives in the now, and it truly believes you have limitless potential. But, she argues, most people are just so wrapped up in the BS that they're settling for realities that are way beneath what's available to them.
Wow. Okay. And then she makes this claim that sounds almost too easy. It's just as easy to believe we're awesome as it is to believe we're giant-sucking things. It takes the same amount of energy, the same amount of focus. I mean, it doesn't feel that easy sometimes. What's her argument for why we tend to choose the drama?
Well, her point is the effort involved is the same. The mental energy you spend reinforcing a negative belief. It's the same amount of energy you could be using to build up a positive one. The drama, the negativity, it often gives us these false rewards, attention maybe, or an excuse not to try, not to risk failure. The insight is realizing you're burning the same fuel to stay stuck as you would to break free. It's about redirecting that energy.
That makes sense, redirecting the energy. So if we're going to ditch the big snooze and shift that focus, where do we start? The book offers tools, right? Starting with self-love, which she frames as pretty radical.
Yeah.
She calls buying into the we're not good enough belief the most rampant, most devastating way we cheat ourselves. So what are some concrete things she suggests we actually do to build that self-love?
Yeah, she gets really practical. First, she says, appreciate your specialness. Like, really get it. You are unique. You have gifts, a perspective nobody else has. In her words, you are kind of a big deal. You got to own that.
That's hard sometimes, but yeah. Okay, what else?
Use affirmations. But, and this is key, she says they're not just chanting empty words. You have to feel it and want it and get worked up by it. It's about embodying that positive statement, getting it into your cells almost, to get you back to truth.
Feel it, don't just say it.
Got it. Exactly. Then do things you love. Sounds simple, right? But she points out how often we say, oh, I love going to concerts, haven't been in ages. Her advice, make enjoying your lives a priority. If you love it, make time. Schedule it in.
That's a good reminder. Making joy a priority, not an afterthought.
Definitely. And upgrade your self-talk. Stop clinging to those old, insulting ideas about yourself. Just consciously replace them with new and improved ones. Choose better thoughts.
And related to that, she mentions humor.
Ah, yes. Ditch self-deprecating humor. She's pretty blunt. Ripping on yourself gets old. Fast down. And every time you do it, you're begging yourself to think you're a loser. It just reinforces the negative.
Oof. Okay, point taken. What about the physical side?
Big emphasis on care for your body. Her take is your body needs you more than you need it, so treat it well. Say nice things about your body. Dress it up and take it out. Show it some respect, some love. It's part of the whole package.
I like that. Treat your body like a friend you want to take out. And the last big one, the comparison trap.
Huge. Don't compare yourself to others. She calls comparison the fastest way to take all the fun out of life. Your uniqueness is your awesomeness. Think about it, she says. Imagine Marilyn Monroe trying to be Kate Moss or Led Zeppelin trying to sound like Mozart. It just kills the magic.
Right, it stifles what makes them. That's a great point. But it's so ingrained for many of us, that comparison thing. How does she suggest we really stop caring what others think, like practically?
One really practical tip is to just pause and ask yourself why you're about to do or say something. Is it genuinely from you? Or is it, to get approval, to fit in, maybe even to subtly put someone else down? Is it coming from strength and truth or from insecurity? That little pause can catch a lot.
That's a good check-in.
Yeah.
Okay, and then there's this really creative exercise she suggests called Be the Alien. I found this one fascinating. Can you explain that?
The alien exercise is brilliant. Yeah, it's a total perspective shift. You basically imagine you're an alien who has just beamed into your body right now. You see your life, your situation, your resources, your opportunities all completely fresh. No past baggage, no limiting stories, no assumptions about what's possible. And the question is, what would you, this alien with fresh eyes, do with this incredible new life? It just cuts through all the self-imposed crap, shows you what you might really want if you weren't weighed down by your history.
Wow, okay. That's a powerful mental shift.
Yeah.
And similar to that, tapping into joy is her idea to follow your fantasies.
Yes. If money was zero object, what would you love to spend your life doing? Just purely for the joy of it. She tells that great story about seeing Loincloth Man in a canyon. This guy just living completely, authentically, totally in the moment, no apologies. And she thought, I want to be like Loincloth Man. It's about reconnecting with that uninhibited, joyful part of yourself.
So these exercises help tap into our inner truth. And she also talks about connecting to something bigger. Source energy.
Connecting to that larger energy, whatever that means to you. And meditation is the key tool she highlights for that, to get into the vortex, as she puts it, and just connect. And she stresses consistency. Even just 10 minutes a day, she says, can massively improve your life. It's about carving out that space regularly.
10 minutes. Seems doable. And connecting seems linked to mindset, too. She says, our thoughts are the most powerful tools we've got, which leads to gratitude.
Yes. Gratitude gets a huge spotlight. She calls it the gateway drug to awesomeness.
Oh, I like that.
It's memorable, right?
Yeah.
But her point isn't just about feeling nice. It's an energy thing. When you're genuinely in a state of gratitude, she claims, fear disappears and abundance appears. You're shifting your whole frequency.
And she has that practical exercise for it. This is good because...
Exactly. Anything happens, good or seemingly bad, you finish that sentence. This is good because... She uses the flat tire example. Initially annoying, right? But this is good because She got to teach her kids about handling unexpected stuff. And it even led to finding out her daughter was being picked on, which she might not have otherwise. It's about actively looking for the upside, the lesson, the gift.
That really reframes challenges, doesn't it? Finding the good
Yes.
because. And she says gratitude builds faith.
Yes, faith being, in her words, having the audacity to believe in the not yet seen. Gratitude fuels that belief. And being grateful for the not yet manifested, like feeling thankful now for the thing you desire, it signals to the universe or your subconscious, whatever you want to call it, that you know it's already on its way. You're claiming it energetically.
Okay, so gratitude, faith. And then she talks about actively doing things to manifest, like upgrading your environment.
Right. Clean up your space, paint a wall, put up art that inspires you. She says it keeps your energetic frequency high, and it basically alerts the universe that you're not screwing around. It's a physical declaration of intent.
And hang high. What's that about?
Surround yourself with people who lift you up, people who are already kicking ass, living purposefully. Their energy is contagious. It makes you want to up your own game. Your social circle matters a lot.
Makes sense. And setting goals.
Set honest goals. Treat discipline like a muscle you build. Start small, just outside your comfort zone. Each win builds confidence for the next bigger step.
And finally, the manifesto.
Yeah, read your manifesto, write down your ideal life, your goals, but write it in the present tense like it's already happening. Be specific, make it emotional, feel it, and read it every single day. Keeps your vision clear and potent.
Okay, so you're doing all this work, building momentum, but then obstacles hit. And she says many are self-created. Let's talk about our stories.
Those narratives we tell ourselves, like, I'm just not good with money, or nobody ever really understands me, or I always mess things up. Sincero stresses these are stories, they are not the truth. And the first step is just catching yourself telling them. Awareness.
And she puts out something really insightful. The hidden false rewards we get from clinging to these negative stories. What are those?
Well, it could be anything, really. Maybe you get sympathy or attention for being the victim. Maybe the story lets you off the hook. You don't have to try because you've already decided you'll fail. Avoids responsibility, avoids risk. She gives examples like why someone might unconsciously choose to stay broke or depressed or in a bad relationship because the story serves some hidden purpose.
That's confronting. So once you see the story and the false reward, what then?
You replace it consciously with a new, powerful truth. So if the old story is, there are no good men, women out there, the new truth becomes something like, the world is full of amazing, loving people, and I'm excited and capable of finding a great match. These new truths become your new affirmations, your new blueprint.
Okay, makes sense. What about common roadblocks like procrastination or perfectionism?
Her advice is pretty straightforward. Notice where you stop. Pay attention to your patterns. Where in the process do you usually get stuck or give up? Anticipate it and prepare for it. Have a plan for that sticking point.
And overwhelm. Feeling like there's just too much to do.
Two main things here. First, watch your mouth. Stop constantly talking about how busy and overwhelmed you are. Complaining just reinforces the feeling. Second, and this is huge, get some help. She points out we're often so tangled up in our own lives we can't see obvious solutions. Ask for help. It's everywhere if you look. Friends, family, coaches, books, therapists. Don't try to muscle through everything alone.
Good advice. Now the big one, fear. It stops so many people. How does Sincero suggest tackling it?
She suggests you break it down. Look at what you're actually afraid of. Often it's vague until you examine it. And then flip the script. Instead of letting fear stop you, let the fear of not doing the thing fuel your quest. What's scarier? Trying the thing or staying stuck where you are forever. Use that fear as motivation.
That's a powerful reframe.
Yeah.
She shares that personal story about India, right? About the fear beforehand.
Oh yeah, it's so relatable. Her first solo trip, she built it up in her head as this incredibly terrifying thing. But then once she was actually on the plane, surrounded by all sorts of people heading to the same place, she had this light bulb moment. Like, you're not alone, you ding-dong. You were surrounded by people. And the basic human need for connection kicked in. Her terror just got instantly bulldozed by excitement. It shows how much fear is often just in the anticipation, not the reality.
That's so true. Okay, another tool she talks about is forgiveness, but she frames it differently.
Right. It's not about being nice to the other person necessarily. It's about being nice to yourself. Holding on to resentment hurts you the most. It keeps you energetically tied to the negative event or person.
So how do we actually do it? How do we forgive?
She offers practical approaches. Try finding compassion. Imagine the person who hurt you as, like, a scared little kid acting out. Understand forgiveness is for your growth. Doesn't mean you condone what they did. Don't assume the worst. Maybe your friend really did drop her phone in the toilet and couldn't call you back. Sometimes you need to physically get the anger out, scream into a pillow, whatever works. And remind yourself, in the grand scheme, you won't even remember this down the line. It shrinks the problem's power.
Good practical tips. Okay, last obstacle area. Dealing with difficult people. The energy suckers, as she calls them, or just dysfunctional relationships.
This is a tricky one. First, she suggests looking inward. If someone really bugs you, it might be because something about them resonates with you on some level. Maybe it mirrors a quality you dislike or fear in yourself, worth considering. But when dealing with genuinely difficult people, she says it's about respecting yourself instead of catering to your insecure need to be liked. Stand your ground, speak your truth, even if it makes them uncomfortable or inconvenienced. Your well-being comes first. And sometimes, honestly, you just need to get the hell away from them, especially if it's a pattern of disrespect or abuse. Protect your energy.
Protect your energy. That seems key. So after navigating all these challenges, doing the work, what does this sweet life actually look like? Is it just, problem-free bliss?
Not necessarily problem-free, but she emphasizes the feeling of it, which comes largely from presence. She points to animals and little kids as our excellent guides here. They're always just in the moment. They're constantly creating in a state of free-flowing, concentrated bliss. Not worrying about yesterday or tomorrow, that's the goal. Realizing that the life you want is right here, right now. Finding the joy, the potential in this present moment.
It's like that analogy she uses.
Yeah.
Like electricity existed before the light bulb. The potential for the life we want is already here.
Exactly. We just need to become aware of it, tune into it, learn how to manifest it, bring it into form.
And it's not like you reach badass status and then just coast, right?
Oh, definitely not. Sincero is very clear. Success requires you to keep moving, keep growing, keep pushing through obstacles, keep evolving. You break through one level of challenge or limiting belief, and guess what? There's another one waiting at the next level up. But that willingness to keep pushing through new challenges, she says, that's what separates the successful from the unsuccessful. It's an ongoing journey, not a destination.
That makes sense. It's continuous growth. Okay, we can't wrap this up without talking about money. It's a big focus in the book and a big block for many people. How does she frame our relationship with money?
She frames it really energetically. The chapter title says it all. Money, your new best friend. She sees it as currency, yes, but also as energy, a part of the universe's natural abundance. So your internal relationship to money, your beliefs, your feelings about it is just as important, maybe even more so, than the specific actions you take to earn it. It's about aligning your energy with the financial abundance you seek.
How do you do that? Align your energy.
Well, she says things like, act as if you're where you want to be. Don't constantly complain about being broke. That just reinforces lack. Instead, demand of yourself that you become who you need to become to attract and manage wealth. It's an identity shift as much as anything.
And she tells that story about buying the Audi, right? When maybe a Honda seemed more practical given her finances then.
Exactly. It seems totally counterintuitive, maybe even reckless on the surface. But for her, that seemingly frivolous purchase was a catalyst. It was a statement.
A statement of what?
Of belief, of up-leveling your idea of what's possible and deciding to really go for it. By taking that bold action, she argues, you open yourself up to the means to accomplish it. It signals your commitment. The universe, she says, responds to details and, crucially, responds to badasses, people who decide and act boldly from that place of belief.
Wow. Okay. So, stepping back, this whole deep dive into you are a badass, it really pushes you to look at your current reality differently, doesn't it? Like it's not fixed. It's a story you've been telling, maybe unconsciously, and you have the power to rewrite it.
Absolutely. It really boils down to taking that honest look at your subconscious beliefs, seeing those hidden false rewards that keep you stuck, and then making the conscious daily choice to step into that superhero self, as she calls it. It's definitely an active process.
And she doesn't sugarcoat it. She says, growth ain't for weenies.
No, she doesn't.
But it's nowhere near as painful as living the life you're living right now if you're not really going for it. That really hits home. The pain of staying stuck can be worse.
So maybe the final thought for everyone listening is this. If the big snooze, your ego, is committed to keeping you comfy and safe in your current reality, and if, as Sincero puts it so colorfully, life often turns to shit before it turns to shinola, meaning things often get messy and uncomfortable right before a big breakthrough, What truly terrifying shit, what discomfort, what challenge are you maybe avoiding right now? That might just be the necessary step right before your Shinola. What leap is waiting for you?